Calling to order the October 14th meeting of the Golf Commission. I'm going to waive the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, first also, I just wanted to say again, I know that we're all now on mute, but again, there's no public comment at this meeting. That is a town rule. It's not unique to the Golf Commission, and so I encourage anybody in the public who does want to ask a question or give input on any of the issues that we're talking about to email me or anybody on the commission or call me. I think you found generally that we're all pretty responsive. So again, I encourage that, but unfortunately there is no public comment at this meeting. So first agenda item, act on the minutes from 9/14 for the regular meeting and special meeting from September 29th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Liam gives a motion.
All right. Second from anybody?
Priscilla seconds.
All right. Any comments on any of the minutes before we vote? All right. Hearing none, all in favor to approve both sets of minutes? Aye.
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 Any abstentions? Any noes? All right. Unanimous, Prue.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the staff reports. Jim.
Yep, very briefly, again, another unbelievable month. I think we averaged 242 rounds a day up at Smith for the month of September. Nothing else major to report. We did start our fall special, which we've done, I think, the last probably 5 or 6 years in a row on October 1st. I think we probably could have got away without doing it this year, but it didn't go unrecognized by the non-residents. They're very appreciative of it, and we've had full tee sheets on every day that weather has permitted this month. So I think it was a good idea to still do it. To be honest with you, it kind of snuck up on me. Fortunately, we had the computer program for it to kick in on October 1st. So we've been doing the non-resident fall special since then. And that's about all I have.
Jim, what's the first and last tee times now with the way that the light is changing?
We're running, I think, at 7:30 right now during the week, maybe 7:21 on the weekends. But we're losing at tee time, pretty much every week on both ends for darkness. Right.
All right, whoever's in the car, can you mute your phone? There we go. Thank you. All right, any questions for Jim before we move on? All right. Anthony, you have a report?
Yep. Well, I'll speak to the clubhouse in old business, Golf Pro in old business, but the one thing I don't see on here is concessions, so I can speak a little bit to that. We did meet with Steel Point, the concessionaire, today just to try to finalize any details with their contract and the timing, and the meeting went well. We're going to recap tomorrow with Craig Curley from the building committee and Gerald Foley from the purchasing department, just to figure out the best way to put them in contact with the contractor that's up there and being able to get them in to make changes that they need to make and start outfitting the kitchen and the restaurant to hopefully get them open for the new year. So, but yeah, it was a productive meeting, and things are going really well up at the course. So happy with the weather right now.
Great, and we can get to the clubhouse there. Sorry, go ahead.
This is Peter. I was just going to say, I guess I may have missed it. So they were approved by whoever they need to be approved by, selectmen or?
Nope, not yet.
Not
yet. So they'll be on the agenda on Monday if all goes well tomorrow and Friday. So just got to go back and forth with the attorneys, and hopefully once the contract's finalized, it'll be on the agenda and posted this Friday for Monday's Board of Selectmen meeting.
Okay, I got you. So they're going up there just to check it out to see what they really need to do, and what it's going to take.
Yep, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Peter, anything from your report?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Gotcha.
Work as usual. A lot of letters coming in about 6 tees, benches, this and that. Want to get everything done. We're trying to prioritize everything. We started work on the 6 tee today for the forward tees. Leaf pickup, and we got a big winter ahead between cart paths and tree work and clearing and drainage. My guys, we all got to prioritize here. So it's we know where we got to go. It's just some people want it done yesterday, and it just can't happen. So we're doing our best. Everything's great here, and onward we go.
Great. All right. And you'll see I put on the agenda later, and we can talk about because I wanted to get through the Greens Committee report too. But to make things simplified, I thought it would make sense to have a written priority list of items requested by the Golf Commission to Peter so that he's not sort of piecemeal getting requests from different members of the commission or members of the public through the Golf Commission, and so that we can have a written priority list so that Peter knows, what we want him to be doing in what order. And it's easier than sort of having just random requests put in front of him and then him saying, I can't do it all at the same time. I don't know which one to do and when. And, so it makes more sense to sort of put some structure around that and put some of it in writing. So we'll get to that after we get past the Greens Committee report. But thank you, Peter.
Having said that, making a list, and sometimes, like these guys building the clubhouse, they rip through all the irrigation work on the 10th tee, the 4th tee, the 1st tee. So, that just pushes everything way back. So, you can get it all in line, but sometimes you just can't get to it in that timeline. From experience.
Understood. Okay. All right. Greens Committee. Anything to report on?
Okay, well, just basically we're going to go over, as you said, the priority list for improvements later in the meeting. The course, for the most part, looks good. The new bridge that was built looks really good, very sturdy. I made a point to walk over it when I played there last. The course showing wear and tear from having so much play on it, which is understandable, but for the most part, except for the items, obviously, that need addressing, which we'll address later, the course is in good shape.
Good. Okay. Yeah, we'll get to the tees. I know that you want to talk about the tees too. So.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll
yep. I don't need to do that twice.
Fair enough. All right. Anthony, anything you want to add on the clubhouse?
Yep, just had a productive phone call with Craig Curley earlier this afternoon, just to try to finalize most of the projects that are finishing up there at the clubhouse right now. They are still on target to have the project done mid-November. So, it's just little things right now that they're trying to squeeze out of the contingency. Starter shed is one of the hot button items that they've been trying to use. And then we've been going back and forth on the paving. The paving plan was originally they were going to come in, DPW was going to come in at the end of October, I think starting the 26th, if I have my date correct, and put down a binding layer and then come back and stripe and do final paving in April, roughly. DPW, I believe, just requested late this afternoon to the building committee and the contractor to actually do the final paving in October, the end of October at the 26th. So they want to get it all done this year as opposed to trying to do it in April. So I haven't heard back from the building committee, but I anticipate that that'll be a discussion that goes back and forth a few times tomorrow before they finally come up with a plan as to when they're going to do the paving. But obviously, the original paving plan for doing the final paving in April would have been the least disruptive to the golf operations. There will be an impact if they do it at the end of October and the weather's nice. So, but I'll have more details on that tomorrow, and then I'll try to do my best to work with Jim and then Peter and those guys so we can communicate whichever direction we're going. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have for the clubhouse.
All right, and so what does that mean for, again, I know you don't know the answers to any of these, but these are the obvious questions, is, if we're paving in October, how long does it have to close the parking lot to pave it? How long do you have to stay off it after it's paved? To your point, what does that mean for golf operations if we do it all at one time in October? Let's see what.
If my memory serves correct, I think it's about 2 weeks. 1 week to pave, 1 week to sit. Something along those lines is what I recall. But again, I'll try to get all the details tomorrow and try to make a decision from there as to, we're gonna be at the mercy of DPW and when they can pave it. So
in essence, then once you do that, the course will be closed for 2 weeks.
Well, if we don't have parking, yes, the course will be closed for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's a big change. Yeah, that's a big difference.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could interject, I don't think it's more than a day or two that you have to stay off it when the final coat is. I think that's what Gene, the general contractor, indicated to me when we were talking about doing it earlier in the month, and maybe he misspoke, but I didn't think it was more than a day. I thought we were going to lose that day, October 26th, if that's the day they're going to do it. But I could be wrong. But I do recall Gene just saying we shut down for a day.
Well, I think that was just going to be for – I don't think we had to shut down at all for the October 26th if it was just the binding.
Correct.
But the final paving they were going to do in April, now they want to move that to October. DPW wants to do it all in one shot. They don't want to come back in April.
Right.
So I thought that process was 2 weeks, but I definitely could be wrong. Trust me, I am not a paving guy, and I have not talked to the contractor. So.
Right, and neither am I. I think that's what Gene told me.
This is Peter. No, it's perfect scenario would be shut down the golf course for 1 day, get it all done, said and done. That's what I was told.
Yeah, that's kind of the impression I had also, that it would just be a 1 day shutdown. And again, it's a Monday in late October, so I think worst case scenario, loss of revenue wise, we're probably looking at $5,000 to $6,000 if it's a decent day.
Yeah, 1 day is a lot different than 2 weeks, so that I would love to find out what's correct with that.
Well, Anthony, we have that call tomorrow with Craig, so we could try to get a little more information tomorrow about this. But maybe you'll hear from DPW as well, so we'll get to the bottom of it.
I'm meeting with the contractor.
Anthony, what's the latest projection on the $7,020,000?
I believe it'll all be spent. As of today, the conversation I had with Craig Curley was the contingency, I think, was going to be about $90,000 that they were going to turn back for DPW to use for paving. So I assume that $90,000 is everything that's left over, because it wouldn't make any sense to hold anything else back once everything's done.
Thank you.
I'm back. I don't know if I missed anything, but I had a sunspot or something, and the call got dumped. So this is Jim.
Oh. No, same topic still.
Okay.
Paving. The gist is nobody knows anything.
Okay.
So.
No, I'll talk to Gene.
We'll get to the answer of it.
I'll talk to Gene, the head construction guy down there tomorrow. I don't think it's more than a day.
Yeah, because Craig actually updated Anthony and I this morning with totally different information, but that was before apparently DPW said they want to now do the whole paving now.
Correct.
So that update is sort of old news. Okay. All right. So let's find that out, and then we'll email the commission with the information once we hear it.
Anthony, are we? Let's say it's the worst case scenario. Let's say it's not a day; it's a week, or more than a day. Are we beholden to DPW, or are we sort of their way or the highway, so to speak?
Well, I'd have to have a chat with them and just you know try to see how adamant they are and what the reason is, and if it's obviously they're going to try to pave when the weather's good as well. So I'd have to show them. I'd have to let them know exactly. Hey, this is a week's revenue or 5 days worth of revenue, and how much that is that we'd be losing. So.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a conversation I'll have to have with them, and that'll happen tomorrow. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's good. But it sounds like the overall schedule, though, of mid-November, we're still on track. It's looking great, so that's good news. Good to hear that there is some money left in contingency as well, so that's even better news. All right. Let's move to the RFP for the Golf Pro. All right, as you all know, we got 3 bids. Jim Alexander, Bob Vignetti, and Frank Darby all submitted bids. We now have all of those bids. And now that we also know that there are 3 people bidding versus 1 or 15 people bidding, I thought it would be helpful to have a conversation about process. We had talked about different scenarios if there were a lot of bidders, if there was 1 bidder. But now that we have 3, I think it does mean that we're going to have a couple meetings. And after talking to Gerald Foley of purchasing, he really would like to have us make this decision in October so that we can get on the goal would be to get on the November 2nd Board of Selectmen agenda. It's the same process that we had with the concession, that we will make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, and then the Board of Selectmen will give hopefully a thumbs up to that on the next regularly scheduled meeting that they have. So the goal is to get on that meeting on November 2nd. So if we're backing into the November 2nd date, that means we really need to make a decision by the end of the week of the 26th. So we have about a little over 2 weeks or so to make that decision. So what I would suggest is, and again, I'm open to suggestions here. I'm happy to talk about what everybody thinks they need in terms of being fully informed to make a decision, but I'll just give you a kind of a rough structure here as to what I think would make sense, and then happy to hear anybody's suggestions as to how to supplement that. I'd like to have on Monday the 19th, this upcoming Monday, an executive session with the Golf Commission to talk conceptually about the bids that we received and any questions or topics that we want to raise, and then have interviews scheduled pretty quickly thereafter with the bidders. So we'll be looking at Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of next week to have interviews. I would think since we have 3, I would like to do them in person, probably at our regular meeting location at Parks and Rec in the conference room there, one at a time, obviously, maybe do 45 minutes per interview. Again, but kind of throwing that number out there if people think we need more or less time. But I think we need more time than we gave the concessionaires. That was a shorter conversation, I think. I think we need to give at least 45 minutes to each of the candidates. And then after that, we would have another meeting to discuss the bids and then also discuss any other information that we wanted, any follow-up questions. So I would propose that we would have a meeting then on that following Monday, the 26th, to discuss the bids and discuss any other information like, conversations with references, anything like that. I'm leaving on purpose a few days in between the interviews assuming we do the interviews on Tuesday or Wednesday. One idea I had, which, again, I don't know if anybody would be interested in or if it's even necessary, but we could talk about, putting together, rounds of golf with each of them, including Jim, even though we all know Jim very well. It's only fair to treat everybody exactly the same. So if we were interested, we could maybe put together some rounds of golf with each of the contestants to see how they are on the course, see how they get along, see how they move around the course. Again, that's just an idea that I was kicking around. Whether we actually do it or not, we can talk about. So we could do it that weekend of the 24th and have, it doesn't have to be 18. We could do 9, but, it might be nice to be out on the course with them. And then have a special meeting somewhere around the 27th to vote. The one thing I think I learned from the concession was I didn't like having meetings back to back. I didn't like having the interviews and then having the public meeting right after the interviews. I didn't like having the executive session and then having the next specially called meeting directly after that. I felt like we were sort of cornered into time limits versus being able to talk without a time limit. So, and again, I'll put all this in an email, but what does everybody think? What do you guys think also that we should do for this process in terms of being able to make a fully informed decision?
Hi, this is Peter. So I agree with that. I think everything you said. I think we should, I think we should get these 3 lined up for interviews, this week. I'm just trying to look at them. 14th, 15th, 16th. For as you say, early next week, Tuesday, Wednesday would be great. Whether we do all 3 at once, I guess that would be efficiently the best, but that's a long time. I don't know. I'm
right.
Fine with splitting it up. I do agree that we should at least 45 minutes. I think we should, budget sort of an hour, leaving us, kind of a 15-minute buffer if things go longer or we want to sort of discuss informally, after and maybe we learn something that, we might want to bring up to the next candidate. So that's sort of, I guess, my thoughts on that. And,
I wasn't there for the interview when we did the the kitchen. So did you get everyone to submit their questions in advance?
No.
No, we didn't submit it. No, we did not submit it in advance.
I mean, the only reason I think that's good is it gets everyone to think, and if they're redundant, we know that. And I also like the idea when you interview people is everyone has the same agenda and ranks people in the same way, somewhat like we did for the concession. So what are the qualities we're looking for, and everyone give a score to that so everyone's ranked fairly on the same items that we all agree as a commission are the top 5 or 6 things that we want the pro to have.
Agreed. I think those are all great ideas, and I think that would be part of when I had, again, I don't want to overwhelm people with meetings, but when I threw out the idea of a meeting on Monday, the 19th, it would be and maybe what we do is to Christine's point, is maybe we have everybody submit questions after reading all of the proposals, submit questions that you want to ask each candidate so that we could then talk through those questions on the 19th and come up with a game plan. And then the next day or two, we do the interviews. And just so you know, too, in the RFP, there is that ranking sheet. And
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, which is that's super helpful. I mean, that was super helpful in the concession. So, but we can add things to that. And to your point, Christine, after that meeting, if we wanted things different, we can add to it.
Right. Okay. And then another question I have is, these will be all Zoom? Like, we'll be looking at the person in the interview?
Yeah, I would like to do it in person, like live, like, shake their hand.
But is everyone going to be comfortable with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay, and the candidates have to. I think you're going to. We should talk about that because we want to make sure everyone's comfortable. I mean, if they're going to be a golf pro, they should be comfortable being in the public, right? But we're going to have to, if we do them, and where can we do them if we do them live?
So I was thinking in our regular meeting room at Parks and Rec.
Anthony, can we do that?
Yes, we can do that. And if anybody's uncomfortable with meeting in person, we could always Zoom them in specifically. Or if we have a candidate that doesn't want to meet in person, we could Zoom them in. That shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I think doing it live would be great.
Yeah, and Christine, I appreciate that. I think it's important for us to be sensitive to that. And for the Golf Commission people too. So, yeah.
Keith, it's Paul. I think your idea of the on-course interview is excellent. I would just modify it slightly by saying, we only need 4 or 5 holes. We could walk. The pro could be telling us about them. I mean, it could be the interview, and we're not playing. He could be playing. I think that's an excellent idea, and we could talk about the golf course, about the way they would run the golf course, what they think needs to change. And it's outdoor, and there should be no issues with coronavirus.
Right. No, and so why don't we put that on the things to talk about on Monday? But I think I agree. I want to see what everybody's thoughts are on that, but it can only help. But it's just more information. It's more times that we're interacting, and so it'll only help. And again, it would be interesting. And again, I think I have actually never played around with Jim, but I think most of the other people have. So, Jim, you get to play Smith. So it'll be good. If you do, I mean, again, we'll talk about it.
If I could just speak about the round of golf, this is Jim again. And just speaking from the other candidates' perspective, I don't know how comfortable they're going to be doing that as far as coming up and playing initially. It's kind of a weird situation with me still being there. I don't know if they'd be comfortable coming up. From my perspective, I mean, I'm working there. It's kind of difficult for me to go out there and have a relaxing round of golf with you guys in an interview format when I'm actually on the job working there. It's just I know you want to make sure we're competent golfers, and I could speak for at least one of the other candidates because I know them. I mean, they're competent golfers. It's just that's just a strange scenario. I know it is a common practice at private courses, and I'm just letting you know, number one from their perspective, and number two from mine. I personally don't care. I'm up there anyway, but it's right now it's kind of like my office. We're having the interview at, and you're bringing 2 other people in to do that. Plus, we've been running tee sheets till 5 o'clock every night at Smithville on weekends. So I'm available to do it. I'm just saying I don't know how fair that is for the other 2 individuals.
No, I appreciate it, and I appreciate that point of view as well. I had thought about the idea of walking up there with the other candidates as you're in the pro shop, and I certainly don't want to make them or you feel uncomfortable. And so I get it, and I think that's I appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's a $20 Nassau minimum if we go out there. So
I'm in.
Okay.
Priscilla's playing from the reds, and I'm playing from the greens.
That's right, absolutely.
You always do, Paul. You always do.
And I will outdrive you.
I thought I'd get a free lesson.
I think I got cut off a minute ago, but did we say is meeting in the new clubhouse a possibility? Are there lights in there to do an interview in that facility since there's more room there with more space?
That's the same issue that Jim just said then, though, right? Is that, bringing everybody to...
Gotcha.
But I would prefer to be in there. But I think, to Jim's point, I think people might feel more comfortable coming to a neutral site than going to there. But again, I'm open. What does everybody think?
If I could jump in before somebody else comments, Gene, the general contractor, Anthony and I got an email last week about keeping people out of the building for a while. There's been a lot of people taking unauthorized tours and even authorized tours. So I don't know how receptive Gene
Plus
is to
the
that.
fact
They're in the home
if
stretch.
there's no heat up there, it's going to be cold, and I don't necessarily want to be sitting in the cold. We want to be in a comfortable room. So, I would recommend that we go to the rec center if there's enough room for everybody. I mean our meeting room.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. Actually, I think that probably makes the most sense. All right, so let's start with the 19th. Is everybody good for a meeting on the 19th? I'm open to different times too, but 5 or 6 on the 19th.
I'm good.
Yeah,
with
if
that.
we could just keep it after 6, just because of everyone's work schedule.
That's fine. Yeah, whatever works for everybody. So, what time works for you, Christine?
Are we going to try to do
after
all 3 in one day?
I thought the 19th was.
The 19th is executive session.
Oh, that's just an executive session. Okay, yep, that's fine then.
Can I,
We might as well figure that out,
just say something?
Yeah.
I believe on Monday the 19th there is a Board of Selectmen meeting at 4 that I'll be doing, so I won't be able to do this meeting at 5.
Well, it sounds like we're not going to do it at 5 now anyway. So, what time, Christine, would work?
I just want to try to say anything after 6.
Okay. I mean, are you saying 6? Are you saying 6:30, 7?
No, 6 is fine. I can be there at 6.
All right, let's do 6. Does that work for everybody else on the 19th?
I'm good with that.
For me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so then let's have Anthony schedule the interviews then for what day then after that, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and do we want to do all in one day? Do we want to do 2 in 1? I like the idea of 45 minutes with a 15-minute buffer, so we're looking at an hour per 45-minute schedule, then 15 minutes of either chit-chat or to kind of talk. So that means, do we want to try to do a 3-hour meeting, or do we want to do 2 in 1?
I'm confused.
So,
I thought the 19th was just an executive session. Are we doing interviews also?
No, 19th executive is just us. Yeah, just us. 19th is just us to kind of talk through the things we want to talk to each candidate about.
And then what happens
the
20th? We start the interviews?
That's what I'm asking everybody. What date works better, and how long do we want to? And do we want to do 1 night or 2 nights after the 19th? So we could do 2 on the 20th, 1 on the 21st. We could do all on the 21st. Kind of throwing it out there for everybody's schedule.
I'm open both days.
do you think that is it going to be difficult to do 3 interviews in one night? By the time the third guy comes in, I just don't know how interested we'll be, because we're going to be. I want to leave. I mean, I'm just being honest. It's hard.
I fully agree. I agree.
So I would say my suggestion is do 2 in one night and 1 the next night, or whatever night. Okay. Any night next week will work.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think 3 in a night is a lot.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But 2 would be fine, especially if you kept them, because if we did at 6, we'd have 1 at 6 to 6:45, 15-minute break, then 7 to 7:45, and we're done, right?
Yes, exactly. Perfect.
Okay.
I like that. I like that schedule. All right, so Anthony, why don't you try to schedule them for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 2 and 1 would be ideal, so we don't have to come back 3 nights in a row. But so we'll give the flexibility of 3 nights and for you to work it out with their schedules.
All right, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, between 6 and 8, basically.
Yeah.
If I heard that all correct. 6 to 6:45, and then 7 to 7:45 for the 2 a night.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So wait, I'm confused. I thought it was 2 nights. There was 2 one night and 1 the next night.
It will be 2 nights.
That'll be Tuesday and Wednesday?
Well, he's just got to make sure people are available.
Right, you're giving them a 3-night window.
Yeah, we have 3 nights available: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Hopefully, we can do 2 one night and 1 another night.
If possible, I'd like to have the nights back to back and not like a Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Like either Tuesday,
Right,
Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday if we have to do that.
Sure.
I agree.
That's good. All right, and then I think, how does everybody feel about a meeting then on the 26th to discuss everything that we've learned, including, from the interviews? Could we do a meeting at 6 o'clock on the 26th? And that would just be Zoom or WebEx.
Yep, I can do that.
I'm good.
What time?
Yeah.
What time?
Let's do 6. 6 o'clock?
6. Okay.
Did we decide on the 19th at 6? Is that going to be a Zoom or WebEx also, or did you want to do that in person?
No, WebEx. I think WebEx is fine, or
WebEx
whatever.
Is fine, right?
I think that's what the town uses. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the town does.
Prue, you, just to confirm, Prue, you will send out all the details on these so we have them on our calendars?
I will, yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right. So anything else before we drop off this topic that we think we need to add into? Again, this is a process that we can obviously change or modify as we're going through it if need be, but I like getting the framework in place now. So we can always change it as if we want to add more or do something else. We can do that. But anything that sticks out right now that we're missing or that we think we need to do?
Nope. No, I think you did a great job with this, Keith. Thank you.
All right, no problem. And Anthony, one of the things is we'll have to coordinate between you and Gerald and us as to, sort of who's doing what on these. Like, for example, calling the references. Is that something that, I know we had talked to Gerald about it briefly, but, we can figure that out, and maybe we don't call them all now. Maybe we do call them all now. I mean, that's something that we have to. I think Jim gave 150 references. Is it 150, Jim? I can't remember how many we put on there. And so, so we have to figure out sort of who's doing that and when. Are we doing that after the, that's something that maybe Anthony, you and I can talk about offline. But just want to make sure that we know who's doing what.
Not a problem.
Or we'll phone bank for them. All right.
Keith, it's
Anything
Paul.
I'd like to request
that we do a credit review on each of the 3 individuals in advance just to make sure there's no issues.
I agree with that. Yep. All right, we can figure that. Anthony, how do you want to yes, I'm just trying to think of what the next step would be on that.
We allowed to do that?
Purchasing's going to do it automatically.
Yeah.
Have to.
I'm sure they are.
So you can't vote if you don't know the credit rating.
100%. And so, yes, everything. I completely agree. The question is who's doing it. I would think that's part of this process no matter what. Just like my preference would be to call the references before we vote. Those kinds of things. I thought we could kind of lock some of this down in the executive session because I think these all make sense. Really, it's just kind of who's doing it and when. And I think we should do all of these things in advance of our vote, obviously. So make a list, Paul, or anybody else, of things that you feel you need. And you can email me, and we can start putting it into this process. I already have a bunch of things as well that I thought would be helpful.
So Keith, is your idea to have a voting executive session Monday the 26th? Is that what you're thinking?
It wouldn't be a vote. It would just be our final meeting. We would vote we will need to call a special meeting. I'm hesitant to schedule that yet because I just don't know where this process is going to go. But after the 26th, we would have to call, kind of like we did for the concession, where we'd have one agenda item, and it would be this. Because our next regularly scheduled meeting after this is November 9th, and the town wants us to get this done before that meeting. So we're going to have to call a meeting before that one. My thought is it will be the week of the 26th. But again, I don't want to schedule it and notice it and everything right now until we know. We're just starting the process right now. I'm hesitant to lock us into a public meeting right now. But yes, the vote would be that week.
Right. I'm just thinking, just to allow ourselves a little bit extra time in case we wanted to do a follow-up, interview with any of the other, with the candidates, basically. If we wanted it, rather than just doing just one interview, we don't want to do a million interviews, but just in case we want to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer with time.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Is even if we don't do a golf thing, we might want to have them come back in, or we might have follow-up questions.
Right.
I don't know what we may need at that point. And so that's why I'm hesitant to put an end on this right now until we know we don't know where we're going until we know where we've been. And so we have to wait, I think, before we schedule. But I think tentatively the plan would be to vote that week of the 26th. And how much time in advance do we have to notice a special meeting? Prue, do you know that? Is it just 24 hours?
I think it's 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. But I will check on that tomorrow. Why does anyone think it's longer than that?
No, I think it's 24 hours.
Yeah, I think it's 24 hours.
Perfect. All right. So I think that encompasses 3 of our items: the RFP, golf professional services, the golf professional interview schedule, and the decision process. All right. Before we move on, anything else on that before we go to a list of improvements? Okay. All right. And actually, you know what? Let's stick on that for 1 second, because as I'm looking at the agenda, I'm going to take these a little bit out of order. We did get a lot of letters for these 3 candidates. What we have done for each of them is we have circulated them to the commission. So you've all had them, and I encourage you to read them. We're not going to go through them all. I mean, we got dozens of letters, to be honest with you. So I just wanted everybody to know that we received them, and we will, and we probably have read them all. So appreciate the letters. Please keep sending them. They are very, very helpful. Getting firsthand experience and firsthand knowledge of the candidates is super helpful. So thank you for everybody who has sent them. They are all read by all of us. All right. Last agenda item is the list of improvements. Like I said, I thought it would just be helpful. One of the things I've always thought is kind of weird is that we don't really have a process for how we request, or the golf commission, if we see things on the golf course that we think, could use a tweak or use an upgrade. It's just kind of casual, off-the-cuff comments to Peter, and then Peter is just supposed to go out and do it with his crew. So I thought it would be better to formalize that a little bit, just to make it easier on everybody, and so that we don't have, multiple people. I know we got comments from the golf commission, the building committee. We get, improvement requests from all of us, both through the Greens Committee and just being out on the course. We get requests from the public, and all of those then get funneled to Peter, and he says, what do you want me to do and when? And we all have a different opinion on that. So I thought it would be helpful for all of us as a commission to approve a list that, again, would go through Parks and Rec and to Peter, so that he knows what we as a golf commission are looking for the improvements. Obviously, Peter and Jim will have the things that they're working on, the things that they need, to get the things done. But as things come up from us, we can say, hey, here's the things that we see that we want, and we'd like them done in this order, so that multiple of us aren't calling Peter saying, do this footbridge or do this path or do this whatever, and he says, I can't do them all at the same time. So with that said, I mean, first of all, I guess, does everybody agree with that? I mean, does formalizing this kind of being too structural, or what does everybody think?
No, I agree. I think we definitely need to do that, and I think we need to be all on the same page also. So I agree with that. I think that's a great suggestion.
I agree too.
Good. All right. So I think, and again, I think a lot of us here have heard about some of the requests, but on my notes, I'll tell you what I have. The footbridge at 4, which I believe, is that totally done at this point? I mean, I've walked across it, but I just want to make sure we can cross it off our list.
Just don't drive a cart across it.
Two-wheel it. Okay. All right, so we'll take that one off. The next one, I think, are the tees. I think we got to get those. We got to get those done. And so, Priscilla, tell me how. Again, I want to give sort of a priority list to Peter for the tees. I mean, I got 4, 6, 7, and 9, and we got the letter from. I'm so bad with names. What was the woman who sent us the email today with the?
Oh, Kim Taylor.
Yes, Kim Taylor. It's the same list of tees. So, what do you think is the priority list on those?
Well, I think getting 6 done is the priority. However, I don't know if you can put 9 in the same category. 9 has just fallen into disrepair, so that's something as other tees have also, both the back tees and the forward tees. But 9, so I would say it's hard to prioritize because they're two different things. 6 needs to be rebuilt, and 9 needs to be fixed because there is no tee basically there. It's awful. And then I would say then 4, but then that's new. So I mean that's something that we had to figure out this year, and I think we have. Jim came out with Sarah Laturza, the president of the women's group, and myself, and we looked at all these. So then 7 would be after that. So that would be probably the priority list.
So 9, 6, 4, 7?
6, 9. Although 6 and 9 are, I think, of equal importance at this point. Jim and Peter, do you agree with me?
Well, this is Peter. We aerified, fertilized, seeded the 9th tee. It's coming back. It has no irrigation up there. This time of year, it grows back fine. And 6, we started working on. And
right.
I cannot tell you the frickin' battle that I had with the Yankee Gas Company with that gas line. It went on for months. I got paperwork up out the yin-yang in my office, signing this, signing that. And that's why it is where it is. As far as the other tees go, I mean, like I said, the footbridge, and then it's not like little leprechauns come out in the middle of the night and cut the fairways and cut the greens and cut the tees and the approaches.
No. And no one's saying that, but we asked Keith asked us to do a list, and so we're prioritizing the list, and that's all we're doing at this point.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep, and so I don't know, did Anthony, did you get a chance to send Peter those pictures that I sent you regarding when Jim and Sarah and I went out as far as the placement of the tees?
Yes, I did. I did send them to Anthony. Yes, you did send them to me. I see where you want the 4th one. The 7th tee, I couldn't really tell where you wanted, and to be honest, I hate to, a lot of trees got to come down, and for that tee to be nice over there, a couple of trees got to come down. So that therein lies another issue. I mean, it's just not snap your fingers. Here we go. And there's no place I love better than Smith Richardson, and I want the best for it. But it's I can make a list like I told Keith before, but that list all of a sudden changes because all of a sudden I got a major irrigation break or I got a mower. I don't know. It's just I hate making lists, and then when you don't do it, you chastise. And no matter what I do,
I don't think we're asking you to prioritize it over the items at the golf course. It's just these are the things that we see And we're asking you that as you turn to the items that we're requesting, that you do them in this order.
Correct. Correct. Well said. Yep.
And I would like to add number 4.
Hold on, that's not the job of the Golf Commission. Policy and procedure is the Golf Commission, not to tell us what to do out here. But I can look that up. But I understand.
That's what's been happening, Peter. I'm trying to help you here.
I'm tired of the letters. I'm just tired of people wanting this, that, and the other thing. I am doing the best I can up here and trying to give you the best product. Some people come up and say, hey, God, those greens are great. Those greens are great. Other people, why are they so slow today? So I've resigned myself to the fact that 50% of what I do, people are going to love, and 50% of what I do, 100%, 50 is going to be 50-50. And I'm trying to do the best I can up here. And I'll leave it with that.
I appreciate that, and this is not meant to be a complaint. This is meant to be, again, in an effort to try to help you so that you don't get overwhelmed with requests coming from the Golf Commission, because historically the Golf Commission has made requests that you have made, that you have then gone out and done. And to have multiple members of the Golf Commission give you differing requests is not helpful to anybody. And so this was just meant to not be a list that we can then wave in your face and say, why haven't you done this? This is so that when 3 different people are asking for 3 different things, you can say, well, that's not the priority list. The point of this would be so that the next time somebody comes
that's
and
not
says,
actually what
hey,
I
want...
That's not actually what I say to them, actually. But I understand what you're saying.
Okay. So, again, if anybody changes their mind, I still think it's helpful to have a list that we as the Golf Commission are making suggestions of. I understand that this has to come from the Parks and Rec. I believe that is the formal process here.
No, well, I like to sit down with a golf pro, and I like to sit down with Anthony. I said, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, and I do that with it. I do that with Jim. There's a lot to do. We have money. Cart paths are a big priority right now. I personally think cart paths are a big priority. But like I said, 50% are going to love it, 50% are going to hate it. And like, for example, on 14, I'm clearing out that whole area down. There was, when I first started here, we had to build those retention ponds behind 13 and 15. And there's all these drain lines that are in there, and I'm trying to clear it out. And I have people coming up, what are you doing? That's where animals live. Are you kidding me? Stop. And I'm like, you don't know what I'm doing. Leave me alone. That's what I feel like saying. But I understand. We're going to get a list together. Everybody knows a list. 6T is in progress. And footbridge is built. We'll look at 4T, 7T, let alone all the trees and the cart paths are going to be done around here. So I will sit down with Anthony, and Anthony, I, and Jim will look what's got to be done, and we will pass it along to you people.
All right, Anthony, Jim, do you guys have any issue with us formalizing our request process?
I don't have any issue with it. I do think it will help alleviate some of the pressure that Peter gets from individual golf members.
Yeah, I think this could be a good way to redirect things away from Peter from the point of view of like people complaining directly to him. Let it come through us. We'll give our own little thing, and then we'll give it to you guys, and then you guys set the ultimate priorities. But it's sort of like a suggestion list where the Greens Committee person will manage the public's suggestions and our own Golf Commission suggestions. We'll give it to you guys, and then you guys decide what ultimately gets worked on. But it's just a good way to sort of, I think, deflect some things and then sort of just give you the suggested, order that of the things that came in through this process, according to whoever's on the Greens Committee at that time, right? And then that takes some weight off of Peter. He still has him, Jim, and Anthony still has autonomy over what gets done when, but we just organize some tasks, and we take the receiving of the tasks. And so when everyone comes in and wants to complain, you just say, oh, go send something to the golf commission. And then we might get more mail that way, but if we come up with this process, then at least we can let the Greens Committee put their priority on it and then give it to you guys, and then you can work from there. I don't know. I think that makes sense, and not to direct or prioritize or track or do any of that type of stuff for the work, but more as just let's just give a little bit of priority to a little bit of the chaos of what people come in and make all these requests for. I look at it like that, more of a suggestion, not a task that's to be tracked or to be measured or any of that stuff. Just a sort of suggested list of things in a certain order. That's it.
I'm all right with all that. You know what? I might have just, after, I love Kim Taylor. I saw her letter, and she meant no harm. But I just got, maybe I was being a little bit of a baby, and I got me fired up. Everything will be fine up here, I promise.
Everything is going well. The course is in good shape. These are normal things that come up at any course that has 292 rounds a day. So I'm not overly concerned.
Anthony, can I ask you a question on the budget for the activities that Peter oversees? Does that get increased in a proportionate rate to play, or is it the same budget last time?
Well, I would say over the past 10 years or so, the budget stayed relatively flat, if not even decreased.
That makes it so difficult, right?
Well, it makes it difficult, but what we did have was a 10-year plan that I don't want to say guaranteed, but the 10-year plan was carried out over 11 years to do course improvements, where the Board of Finance basically gave us $100,000 a year to do lots of improvements, whether it was irrigation or sand traps or drainage or tee boxes. So that money was outside of the budget, the operating budget itself. And now that the 10-year plan ended this past fiscal year, we're without a 10-year plan. And honestly, the Board of Finance told us they don't want to see another 10-year plan yet. I did tell them that there's going to be one coming at some point in the near future, but they expect us to cover things through the operating budget. So, when I sit down with Peter and Jim later this month, early next month, to start talking about the priority list and what projects we need to do, we may need to increase the budget for this upcoming season. And, we'll have to get everybody, we'll have to have the commission support when we go before the different bodies, and, because they're going to push back on any kind of increase. They always do.
Right. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, let's finish this list, and then, and again, I think Liam explained it very well, and I do think it's helpful that we as a golf commission agree on a list so that we're not individually making requests. I think what we have is the tees that we talked about. There is a footpath that was requested by Craig Curley from the cart barn to the first tee. I don't think that is probably in terms of priority list. I think that would be helpful, but
yeah, it would be helpful. But it's I'm trying to figure out the whole setup. I can't envision it in my mind what's going on around the cart barn, the putting green, the first tee. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there. I think it's disgusting looking, but it is what it is. And that's kind of a big priority of myself too. So the footbridge was built, and apparently everybody loves it.
The bridge looks good.
If I could just chime in on the on Peter's list versus a 10-year plan, also just to answer Christine's question. The beauty of the 10-year plan was a lot of that money was dedicated to a outside contractor also to do the bunkers drainage, tee boxes and whatnot. So that actually took it off Peter's plate that he didn't have to worry about it. And we don't have that luxury anymore with that contractor out here. So Peter, has these projects that everybody wants done, but like Peter was trying to say, he's got the day-to-day maintenance of the golf course to worry about also. So that's where it falls apart. And the money, whatever money we make this year, as good as it's been, doesn't come back to the golf course in the same percentage. I mean, the budget is what the budget is. So it doesn't matter if we put out 500 rounds a day. It's not going to change our budget for this year. That's already said. It's not going to help Peter out in any way. But with a lot of those projects that everybody's talking about, and I think we all got comfortable having these projects lined up in our 10-year plan and seeing them get done, while Peter was involved with them and his guys helped out, we did have a dedicated contractor that was handling most of these big projects, so it looked like there was a lot of progress going on, and there was. But again, it wasn't hurting Peter from a day-to-day perspective, maintaining the golf course.
Yeah, all good points.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Jim.
Yeah.
Well, glad to help out.
Yeah, unfortunately, there, as Anthony said, there's little appetite to do a new 10-year plan when we're building a multi-million-dollar clubhouse at the golf course. Yeah. And so we're not going to get a new one. That's what we've been told. And so what we have to do is, rely on Peter and his crew, which is a skeletal crew at this point, and has, their hands full on just regular maintenance, mowing, raking the traps. I mean, just the basic stuff. And so it is hard to fit this stuff in, and I acknowledge that. Again, Peter, none of this is meant to be a complaint. I hope that you're not taking it that way. This is not intended to be that at all.
I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in.
Okay.
It's, because Anthony and I, because we got to sit down for budgets. I've already told Anthony the equipment I need here because I went for a sprayer. The sprayer I'm using right now is from 2003. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are driving around in 2003 cars, but I'm trying to spray fairways with a 2003 sprayer. So I went for it last year because of the COVID thing, all this, we shot it down. But now my equipment is getting older and older, and so Anthony and I know we got to go forward looking for more equipment, and your support would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you have it. Not a problem. Yes, I mean, again, we're all here because we care about the course and we want the best for the course, and so obviously we would support getting the best equipment for the course.
That's why I'm here, because I love this place.
Good. All right. That is all I have then at this point. Anybody else? All right. Well, I think we have been busy up to this point, particularly with the concession, and we are about to get even busier now with a bunch of meetings over the next 2 weeks. So I do appreciate everybody's effort and time. I know that we are going to have a lot of meetings. So I think it is, I just very much appreciate everybody's efforts, so I thank you. And also the other thing I should say, too, before we drop off is that based on the fact of how many letters we've gotten about this Golf Pro RFP, I think we can see that there are a lot of eyes on this and there's a lot of interest in this throughout the town. And so no matter what way the commission goes, there are going to be people who are disappointed. That's what we're finding, is that, we've gotten dozens of letters. And so I just want to make sure that we as a golf commission, now that we've sort of set the framework for a decision process, that we will all support the decision of the golf commission, even if the golf commission ends up going a different way than your preferred candidate. I think that's our duty as a golf commission, is to support a decision that we all make. So again, I just think that this is going to be a difficult process, and I just want to make sure that we're all committed to the process and that we're all committed to supporting whatever the ultimate decision is.
Well said, Keith.
Yeah, agree. Well said.
All right. Well, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn. This is Priscilla.
Great.
I will second. It's Mike.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk on Monday.
All right. Have a great night.
See ya.
Bye.